Have you ever thought how safe is our parents at their workplace? According to International Labour Organization, in every 15 seconds, a worker dies from the work-related accident or illness, and more than 2.3 million people get killed at work annually. In specific data from the USA, 4,836 workers get killed due to workplace injury in 2015. Isn't it alarming? But the question is how to bring down the incident rate to zero. I mean, zero. Nobody get hurt at work. Who will work for a company if the person knows earlier that he or she might get hurt at work? Will you? Will not. Are we driven by faith, or we really want to make impactful change to prevent workplace accidents? But the question is, how? Let me take you with me back in time in 2001. I was so excited to share with my parents after I got my first job. They were very happy. And soon after, my father asked me, what would be my role? Frankly speaking, I did not have much knowledge before I joined as a health safety and environmental promoter, an entry-level position. Along the way, I learned my job is involved with providing advisory support role to prevent industrial accident. Now, my every day is a new day to identify the non-conformances, participate risk assessment, intervene unsafe acts and conditions, and achieve one safe day at a time. Time flies. I learned how important the HSE is for a company to survive in the long run. Good HSE performance not only create the business opportunity, but also make a company sustainable. If we look at the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, the environmental dimension and the social dimension, which includes HSE, carries about 50% of the weight for a company to being a sustainable company, which means HSE is a must for your company to survive in the long run. Will you, the future generation, be considering to work for a sustainable company in future professional, or being an entrepreneur as a global startup? Although the objective and management culture might vary due to different geographical region, but HSE management is an unavoidable journey. One thing is very much common: the companies often do not bear much civil liability for the fatalities at work. But of course, a deceased can be covered under compensation. Will it be strange to hear that a person get killed at work, but at the end, nobody killed him? Now the question is, what really makes a company to manage occupational safety and health? There are the key drivers: the host country HSE requirements that impose the liability, the contractual HSE requirements if you are dealing with the global companies, in-house rules and regulations, and high cost to buy insurance, certification requirements from the certification system like your OSHA's 18001, ISO 14001, and also for reputation. HSE becomes so integral part of today's business that it stretches the furthermost part of your supply chain. You cannot simply skip the responsibility if you do your own production or you sub to different countries. Let me share a real life example. 24th April 2013, a commercial building known as Rana Plaza collapsed in Bangladesh, the country where I come from. 1,129 people get killed from this most recent industrial accident in the country. It is simply unbearable. Beside the many direct factors, it was the most expensive wake up call for poor safety management in the ready made garments industry. Beside the responsibility of the employers, the question being asked by the advocacy group, NGOs, politicians, even like the consumers like you and me, the question challenged the responsibility of the global supply chain. Now, the country got accord for fire and building safety and the Alliance for Bangladesh worker safety. Both accord and alliance are independent, legally binding agreement between the global brands, NGOs, governments, and the retailers is a framework, a commitment to work towards a safer workplace. This is how we are playing our shared responsibility as a consumer, vendor, supplier, or brands. So the point is, HSE is no longer a business for your company, but also with whom you do business. So, of course, good HSE performance will give you the competitive advantage against your competitors. Local and international companies knows the benefits, and industry measure the HSE performance as the total recordable injury rate or lost time injury frequency rate per million man hours worked. Oil and gas industries, where I come from, HSE performance report from 2015 indicates 54 fatal cases happened in 2015, where it recorded 115 fatal cases in 2006. The industry really made a progress in a decade. But it did not happen by luck, but a joint effort together with the government, clients, contractors, suppliers, vendors. But now the question is, why do we still have so many accidents? And the report also identified 5 common underlying causes. I will speak about those shortly. Before that, let me share how the companies, especially global oil and gas companies, manage occupational safety and health risk. Global companies normally take the holistic approach to identify the areas that special focus through various preventive actions. It starts with the risk assessment. Risk assessment is no longer a choice, but a legal compliance required by many countries. The concept is very simple. You create the risk, you have to manage it. Through the risk assessment process, we identify the risk and also identify how to prevent or make it safe to prevent fatalities or accidents. but still we can see many accidents. Where are the gaps? Now, let me share a personal story. I attended the first job interview at the age of 19 years old. Soon after the end of the interview, I was asked if I had any question. You can imagine it was the moment of mixed feelings with excitement and nervousness. Can you guess what was my answer? Anyone? Actually, I got no question to ask. But today, at this stage of my career, I like to ask a question. Will I be safe in your company? How will you ensure your employees get back home safely every day? The demand for a safe workplace should be started from day one. Now, let's look at the big picture. The oil and gas companies, 49 global oil and gas companies, reported data indicated the underlying causes of the fatalities and accidents. These causes are very much known to the industries, but the repeating trends are the new reality. Every repeating accidents give us the often reminders that this accident could have been prevented. Because every accidents report, investigation report, identify the root causes and also how to make it safe for future jobs. But it happens again and again. ILO estimates 317 million work-related accident happens globally. Is there a leniency? Some companies have the stricter safety rules, specifically for specific rules. They have stricter consequences where any violation involved with those rules, the consequence will be losing the job. Now, we have the knowledge on how to work safely at height, confined space work, lifting safety, how to prevent fire and explosion. Each and every level of the organization, we have the responsibility and the established consciousness. But the true reality is not everybody can go back home safely. Of course, managing HSE involved with cost. You need to invest to create a sustainable HSE culture. But the cost of the poor safety performance also more costly. Like instance, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. BP agreed to pay 18.7 billion US dollar in fines. ILO data estimates the economic burden of the poor safety and health practices globally is equivalent to 4% of world GDP, which is equivalent to 3 trillion US dollars. Today, health and safety at work is a basic human right than ever. The costs are simply unacceptable. But now, the question is, who will make our workplace safe to prevent us from accidents? Let me repeat the question. Who will make our workplace safe? It is you and me. We have to be empowered to make the safe method of work, follow the HSE rules, and empowered to be intervene unsafe acts and conditions. A small step together will create the bigger trust. The journey towards creating value-driven HSE culture? Will you step forward and ask, demand for a safe place of work? Let's together make our workplace safe, make HSE zero loss a reality for our parents, for us, and also for our children. Let's be empowered to take lead. Let's be empowered to take lead.